Hey there, treasure hunters. I'm Gina, mother, teacher, crocheter, theater directing, antique and vintage reseller, wearing the most amazing overalls you've ever seen. So join me as I learn, shop, buy, and sell all the fantastic things while I'm living on Tulsa time. And in true Tulsa fashion, we are in the middle of a tornado warning as we are heading into the I-44 Antique Mall, which is located in the heart of Midtown Tulsa, right off I-44 if you take the Peoria and Riverside exit. And we are going to go in and see what treasures we can find before we get blown away by a tornado. So one of the things that I love about this particular antique mall is they have these fantastic cases, and some of these vendors do a great job with stuffing them full of treasures that you could sit here for hours and look at. Like, I could sit here all day and look at every single little item that is in here. The earrings are great. The bracelets, like everything, look at that. We've got some thermoset right there. We've got some enamel. We got some of these. I love these earrings right here. I have some of those. A lot of this stuff in here is very familiar to me. We got this great vintage brooch. It's prong set. Lots of enamel stuff. Just a lot of cool things. Look at the binoculars. I kind of want to take the binoculars home. But I spent quite a long time looking at everything that's in here. I liked the dichroic. The vintage Barbies are great. The Ken in the top, I can't with him. Ken is too much. He is hilarious. Look at this little book right there. That was so fascinating. I kind of wanted to get in there. I was interested in this, the bone china. And then that brooch right there, I have something very, it was just so much fun. It was just so much fun. I love to look at all this stuff. I love the enamel stuff that's there, and the prices are pretty good. They're definitely a little bit on the higher end because it is an antique mall. It's very well curated. Look at that. That's a great piece for Oklahoma. I love that pin. And some of my friends in California, hi Carrie, hi Danita, they collect the vintage ring boxes. And I always think of them when I see them somewhere. I love this wood brooch right here. I've kind of gotten into them a little bit just because I know the history is, during World War II, they didn't have the resources. And so they had to go into making wood brooches and pins, which I think is pretty cool. So I have a couple of those that I like to keep in my own personal collection. But I just loved every single one of these. And then I spotted, well, first of all, the Bakelite bow is fantastic, but look at this piece right here with this Victorian. I'm guessing she looks very Victorian because of the hairstyle, but I don't know what that is, but I loved it and I wanted to know more about her. But look at the lucite necklace back there. Isn't that fantastic? And that was only $20. That's a pretty good price, even for somebody who maybe would want to resell it, but why would you? Look at the Aurora Borealis beads. Look, the belt. Oh, that belt is so cool. I loved looking at that belt. The garnets, you guys see that? And they were asking $250 for the garnet brooch, which is definitely reasonable. It did look fairly old. Look at that guy. It's so great. So much Bakelite. Along with, I love this heart back there with the engraving on. But there was a lot of Bakelite. There was a lot of lucite, a lot of enamel pieces. There was also some fine jewelry, some sterling silver. And look at the bolo ties. This right here, this enamel bracelet with the peacock immediately caught my eye. I love the color scheme. I love the Art Nouveau style of it. It was it was cute. I wanted to take it home. And I like these bracelets right here. There's 2 of them in the case. You can see that one. It has kind of like this Indian filigree to it. There's a drama mask for $22. I wish there was the other one. I used to have a comedy and tragedy pin or brooch, and I wish that I still had one, but I don't have one anymore. And unfortunately, I can't find one. And if I do, it's only one mask. It's not both of them, or it is outrageously priced. Look how cool that is. I like that inlay, the Indian kind of the print. Some more Bakelite. I mean, the Bakelite is great, right? We got the apple juice Bakelite. Look at this sweet little girl. I don't know what her deal was with the little bob, but she was fun. I wanted to know more about her. Everything in there was 20% off. So if I was not on a spending freeze and I had the liquid funds, I would be picking up a couple of these items. But unfortunately, I am just here to window shop today and show you guys some of the fantastic stuff that Tulsa has to offer. And look at this. I love this little Mary vase right here. These have been around for quite a while. They were a premium that were given out in gas stations, predominantly in Oklahoma. So we end up seeing a lot of those around. And that wasn't the only booth I saw those in. Easter's coming up, springtime. So we have the evil Easter bunnies, because Easter bunnies are here to get you always. Like, you have to be scared of an Easter bunny. The silhouettes were to die for. They were asking $22 for this one. The frame alone is fantastic. It has this great inlay. Then back here, I kind of had to put it in slow motion so you could see. This was a premium that was given out in the 1950s from the comic Lulu. I think that was like Tommy Tompkins. So that was kind of a fun ephemera collectible. I do love the silhouettes. There's a nice piece of Fenton. It didn't have the marking on the bottom, so I knew it was going to be kind of an older one. They had a matching set. They did not have them priced as a matching set, though. Lots of glass. I love glassware. A couple of these pieces I have owned, and I was able to send off to the collectors. This was fantastic. $55 was the asking price, and I think that is very, very fair. And I would have had no problem picking this up if I had any disposable income at all. It is a gorgeous space. We have a very old, one of the first run McCoy's, good Lord. But I loved looking up. This place is so great. When you look up, there's stuff to see. When you look down, there's stuff to see. Here is the gem. This is the Rosenthal China company, and this is the gem pattern. This was designed by Lowry. Unfortunately, the teapot was missing its lid, but the mid-century modern pattern is great. We saw some Fostoria. They had some chintz. I believe these were going to be about $12 a piece. I thought this little candy dish was super great. I love transferware. Look how sweet and delicate all that is. And if you happen to be close by, all the Haviland in this booth is 50% off, so it's well worth it. This got me in my feels. I wanted this so much. This is kind of something that's on my bucket list, is a mini piece of furniture. It's not a salesman sample. It's for a kid. They were asking $225 for it, and I really wish I could take it home. Okay, so as I'm in the process of editing the video at the antique mall, I had to stop and put my family in the interior closet, because as you can hear, the tornado sirens are going off. I am not sure if there is a tornado on the ground, but we are taking the precautions, and the kids are in the shelter with their shoes on, and the dogs, and obviously my husband, I think, is outside trying to find the tornado. So with that being said, make sure you guys like and subscribe, because this might be the last video. I'm just kidding, it won't be. We're used to this, it's Tulsa. So all right, but make sure you guys give me a like, a subscribe, and don't forget to share the video especially since I'm risking my life to edit this fantastic content for you. All right. Say hi, Caesar. We're in the closet. One of the things I really enjoy about the antique ball is that they have this wall of restaurant wear. And as you know, I've been talking about wanting to get restaurant wear for my own personal use because I have 4 sons. We are very hard on dishes, and we know that restaurant wear is going to be pretty durable. Look at this treatment. I love the mid-century modern colors. I thought it was so delicate and so pretty, and you can definitely mix and match. They're going to be very good quality. Look at the Zambos that's back there. I wanted to know a little bit more about some of these patterns. But I did get there right before they closed. It was probably about 20-30 minutes. So I didn't get a lot of time. I just got an opportunity to look at a couple of things. This I thought might have been from the Tulsa Club. I tried to do a little bit of research on the symbol, but I couldn't find anything. I love the stacking mugs. Look at these right here. These are these were buffalo. I loved the marks on them. And then at the bottom, the little demi-toss, Syracuse demi-toss were so cute. Look at the handles on those things. What a treat. I love all of these. I wanted to take them all home with me, but they had to stay. So if you watch any of my shorts, you know that I recently just flipped a piece of art that I found at Goodwill. I got it for $3.99 and I turned it for $1.25, which is how much that they were actually asking for this original print. Look at this right here, these tiny little baby pinwheels. I thought that was so darling. And then I looked up and I spotted this and I was like, you know what, $28, that's a really great picture to pick up, and I'm thinking about it. The skis were also super awesome. I'm a little out of place because there's not a lot of skiing in Oklahoma, but you could go skiing in Colorado. The mid-century modern table was fantastic as well. Here is some bleak. If you watch the video where I talk about the bleak marks, we could tell that this is going to be a little bit more of a contemporary piece, probably from the 80s, I would guess. They had it marked for 20, which is a little bit on the high end for resale, but as a collector, not bad. Look at how beautiful this display is with these, the legless girls. I have a pin cushion. I know sometimes they've been turned into, little whisks and things. This vanity right there, that little vanity set from the 1930s is gorgeous. I love Roseville. I love the Florentine from the 1920s. I have a piece myself. It is not the 2-handle base. It's kind of a shorter, shallow bowl. Oh my gosh, this had me shook right here. This is the Phoenix Glass Company, and it was absolutely stunning. I don't know if it's a reproduction or not because I do know some of the molds were sold later on. So I wasn't quite sure, but there was a couple of Fenton pieces, and then you get into my heart. There was some Roseville. That $45 price mark was fairly reasonable for me, and now I know where to go if I want to get a piece of pottery. I'm needing a little bit of a,
I mean, I
of a
might have
fix.
to buy those.
I have a problem. I want all of them.
I have a thing.
And
I'm obsessed
I thought
with
everything
American
in here
pottery.
was just stunning. Look at this piece with the bird.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
has me floored. Look at that. That is so gorgeous. There is some Frankoma pieces, and there's actually a lady standing next to me. We were chatting, and
But see, the thing is
I was telling her, I'm not a fan of Frankoma. I love American pottery, but Frankoma isn't what I like, and she agreed. Check this out. This was fantastic. The Jaro Jagolo, it's the Greyhound picture. It's a Portuguese piece of porcelain, but how cute is that? It's the bisqueware with the dog as the handle. I thought it was sweet. And look at the Franciscan right here. There's obviously got to be Fiesta ware. Here's where I'm a standout because I don't really care for Fiesta ware. I love Homer Laughlin, one of my favorite ever things to collect, but I don't like Fiesta ware. It's fine. It is what it is. Whatever. But these were cool. The minstrel, the rolling the traveling minstrels, the little puppets.
I loved the mini trinket shelf, the elf that's in there. I wanted to get a good look at that guy because he was pretty cool. Do love that pink vanity set from the 1930s. Super cool. Oh, look at this little toucan. I was trying to figure out what it is. I think it was a broken piece. I can kind of tell there was like a hole there, but he was cute. I did a little boop a snoot, give him a little pet because it was adorable. I think it might have been a broken piece. We got some candle wick in there at the top. Those, I think are imperial glass. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong and anytime about anything, like I was doing my mirror thing, let me know in the comments because I love learning stuff. Like I learned that this is Joan Walsh, and Hallmark did a whole line of collectible items based off of her books that she did in the 60s. And they don't have mouths, which is weird. It reminds me of that Twilight Zone movie that came out, and the kid had the ability to get rid of the mouths. I don't know. It was a little unsettling. The movie and that figurine, both unsettling. Some Joseph original figurines and things. Look how pretty she is. This one right here in the brown. Oh my gosh. Look at how delightful. Everything about her was great. Look at her big eyes. I love little figurines like that. They're so fantastic. And I love the bird print in the back. Of course, they have Empoli. I did find a couple of Empoli pieces while I was in there. And I didn't pick anything up today. Like I said, I wasn't really out shopping as much as I was looking. This right here is the Pyrex Flamingo set. It's probably about the 1950s to 1960s. They released like a 32-piece set. But I like to go, and it's like going to a museum for me. This booth space, I guess you'd call it, this cabinet, had a lot of sterling and turquoise, and I know that this is also going to be something. I don't like sterling and turquoise. There, I said it. Some of these things that are like highly collectible, I don't care for them. I could see how they're neat, but they're not me. We got some Toby jugs here. Again, one of those things that like I'm personally not about collecting, so I won't necessarily pick them up unless I find one that's at a really good deal. Sometimes I don't mind paying up for something, especially if it's something that I can enjoy for a little bit. Look at the Denby mugs. I have had Denby mugs before and actually found them at Salvation Army, and they sold fairly quickly for me. Denby is great. Look, it's the Bellows Menda. I like finding props too. This is kind of also a really great way to find props for plays. There's another Empoli that I found right next to a vintage camera. But that's kind of one of the ways that I got into doing antique and vintage resale. Was I spent a lot of time going and looking for props, especially if you're doing plays that are older. You have to find like bellows and you have to find flit guns and stuff like that. The Ouija board, whoa. The only thing that was really kind of fantastical besides the price was the jewelry in the picture. Yeah, it's a board game. You buy it at the grocery store or whatever. But I loved the vintage jewelry that she was wearing. I was like, ooh, let's get it for those. The ducks. The ducks were obviously cute. This is a piece of glass that was founded in 1985 in Spain, and they use a lot of recycled glass, and so that was a really cool piece. This derpy little dude right here had two prices. I did not know which one. I was a little confused why there was two prices. But the little Kachina dolls in the tree were flicking adorable. I don't know what they were doing, playing something, being cute, obviously. This guy had a question mark. It was like vintage toy question mark. But upon closer inspection and the fact that the base is actually attached, I'm going to say that this might be a Hobby Lobby decor piece. I don't think that's going to be vintage or a toy. Look at this Wedgwood vanity set. Absolutely beyond. Oh my gosh, so gorgeous. I had to do a little test there with the lid. They were asking $185, which I think is pretty fair. These little Day of the Dead skeletons are so cute. I love miniature things. I love Day of the Dead stuff. This was kind of cool. I was looking at that. It's just kind of a shallow vessel. there was some really great pottery in there as well. So I was kind of like, this one I kind of really want, because check that fly out. That's crazy. I don't know why. I just was really impressed that fly was like trapped in the bowl. Don't think it's a real fly, obviously, but that's pretty cool. I think that's neat to have like a little relief like that. There was a set of 4 hand-painted hot chocolate cups. I loved these. Look at how sweet. I really love the paint and the color. I couldn't see, oh, it was $89 for the set of 4. There's also a lot of glass in here as well, and this one was a big old heavy paperweight. Good grief. I think they call those magnums. This collection of glass vases was super incredible. I wanted to do a little bit more looking into these, but I was nervous about picking them up. They were kind of way above my head, and I'm pretty short, so I just kind of admired them from afar. That was kind of a cool Hagee lamp. And these adorable potteries with the little frogs on them were so cute. I really liked those. I wanted to get my hands on them, but unfortunately they were in a case for me. I like pottery. It's very tactile. They had some fantastic dolls. I really like the delicate faces. That one looks very Puritan. That one has a hairline problem. And there was a couple of little cute bits and baubles I wanted to get a look at. Look at this. He is a gentleman. The rosy cheeks girl, she could never. The little tiny Toby tankards there. They had some pretty great dolls. Then what is this? What's going on there? It's just a little, in a creepy way, but a good creepy. I like a good creepy. The silhouette was fun as well. The little Toby mugs. But all in all, like I kind of just did like a quick scan so you guys could see that there was so many awesome things in the cases. If we go up here, look at that. Isn't that fantastic? We have both the vase and the tapestry bag and the little fire thingy-mabobber. I can't remember the name of it. I don't know. I think that was an Edison yearbook in the back. There was a cracker dish, a cracker cellar. The cobalt blue, and we're going to see these again because, again, these are ubiquitous in Oklahoma. Look at the crochet. I had to point that out to everybody. I love the vintage crochet piece. Shout out to vintage crochet makers. Crochet is where it's at. The bear mirror was super fun to look at. I like saying things are super fun. I have a ball jar sitting up on top of my antique china cabinet I need to look into and see if it's anything. It belonged to my mom, and I'm going to be honest, like it's sat there for years. I don't even know if it's anything important or not. I probably should go look at that. Look at the mother of pearl spoons. This one has some fairly interesting, there's lots of like skulls. I love these inlaid boxes here. Super great. Look at the skulls. This was a very interesting. It was like, was it set on fire? And I was trying to look at the price and I'm like, does it say $475? Like $475? It's kind of a lot. But it did have some interesting skulls. I wasn't quite sure about. A piece of Lalique, I believe, or is that, it might not be Lalique. That was really cool. I spent a couple of seconds looking at that because it caught my eye. Some more glass. We have a couple of vanity jars. This little perfume jar. I love the compacts with the inlaid on the tortoiseshell. So look at the dagger. That dagger is super cool. Down here, I guess these are perfume bottles. I don't know anything about these pieces of pottery right there, but I'd be interested in learning a lot more. And these brass pieces, I don't know, everything in here was just so interesting. And I wish I had a lot more time to kind of sit and look at everything closely, but unfortunately they close at 5, and so I was only able to do like
vintage
quick looks at
antique.
things. Look at the size of this thing. This thing is huge. And I kind of put my hand on top of it so you can see, like, it's a big piece. It's not like a tiny little egg. It's pretty big, but the price of that one was $18.95. Huge vase. But this particular vendor, this dealer, they had a lot of like Asian influenced pieces. I thought this glass bowl was pretty cool. I believe it was priced in like in the 180s, maybe 160s. That was great. And the Avon Cape Cod, it's gonna be everywhere, no matter where. There it is. Look at the micro mosaics. I love micro mosaics. I want to own one day, but they are fairly expensive. Look at the loose. And as we come to this beautiful red wing china with the hearth side pattern, I want to thank everybody for surviving the tornado with me tonight. I had a lot of fun editing the video while listening to tornado sirens. And I want to thank you guys for sticking with me till the end of the video. It was a lot of fun, and I hope that you guys will make sure you do all the things to keep this channel going, and we can do another tour of the I-44 Antique Mall because there is plenty more to see, and I know that we will find tons of treasures there. So thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, if you feel stupid, you're doing it right.